What do you make of rookies being in this list? Do you think that it's fair to put them in there, or do you think that they should be excluded from the list?
No, I don't think they should be excluded. I mean, there's some guys who can ball like LaMelo. There's some other guys as well. I don't think they should be excluded. I mean, it doesn't matter your age. If you're talented and you're better than a veteran player, you're just playing out better. Like, you can't
Hmm.
just say, oh, because he's younger. Like, no, I think they deserve to be on the higher list if, they deserve it.
Even if they
It
haven't
just
played an
depends who's.
NBA game?
Oh yeah, if they haven't played an NBA game like Cade Cunningham, then that's kind of biased. It's like, you're just going. See, that's the point I'm going to. This is going
Yeah.
off of their data analytics guys, and they're putting trajectories on some of these younger players who haven't even played yet. So
Hmm.
this is all on their data. This is all data driven. This isn't like obviously gameplay. This is, plus minus. This is projections. This is all of that stuff. So yeah, this is heavily data, structured.
Yeah. We had a couple questions here. Sean, is Cade on this list? Yes, I'm actually on his part right now. And then Josh, you said Trae Young's top 2. He's not 2. No bias. Hashtag unbiased. Hey man, we're gonna talk about Trae Young and where I think he really should be, but we'll talk about that a little bit later when we get to that part of the video. Sean said rookies shouldn't be allowed. How can you call them top? And that's exactly my point that I made earlier, Sean, with a guy like Jalen Green who was at 96, and then you have Cade Cunningham who's at 76. Like even this is
Yeah,
ridiculous for a guy
that is.
for a guy that hasn't played in the NBA yet, hasn't really made a contribution to one single minute besides the summer league, and those aren't even the teammates you're going to be playing with anyway. That to me is where I kind of this is where I get frustrated. I got frustrated last year with this list because ESPN does it each and every year. And to me it's like I can't argue or I can't condone the rookies being on here because
Mhm.
there's no data from the NBA, right? We can take college and the G League if you played there, but you really can't equate that data to NBA players and NBA
Yeah,
in an NBA league, right? Because it's not the same variable of player to player, right? You're not playing NBA players. You're paying kind of like a below an NBA player. And
exactly.
so to me, it's like Kane at 76, way too high.
Yeah.
Even Jalen Green at 96, I'm like, well, that's kind of a stretch. And then it's like you have Cade at 76. I can't condone Cade being there. Sean, you said, how can they say this is based on data when Larry had the worst year of his career, worse than the last year where he didn't make top 100 and now he does?
Yeah, this is all data driven. Like this is 100% data driven with their analytics guys. Like we can clearly see because like some of these guys they haven't even accumulated a foul.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like how could you have Jalen at 96 and then Cade at 76? We don't know what data or whatever they're using
Yeah.
for, their data mining, but that's very interesting.
I mean,
I'll say that.
whatever data they're using, it's probably the reason why that football team, Bishop's Sacrum, whatever you want to, whatever that Fugazi football team, that's basically the same data that got that team to play an ESPN high school game on TV. Like that like
Mhm.
I don't know, some of the analytics I'm not so sure about in terms of like really ranking a true player from where they're at. That's why I prefer eye test over analytics sometimes.
Mhm.
I get that, Justin, but you also need analytics as well. There needs to be a balance between the both in order to
Yeah.
really fully assess like a player. Because the eye test could tell you, it's the same thing that I tell people, when you watch players play like open gym style basketball versus actual NBA kind of structured game. Like there's a difference. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing when it comes to like eye test and analytics. It's like you need a mixture of both to really kind of gauge what the player is.
Yeah, you really do. And it varies too, right? Like
Hmm.
for the NBA, let's just say Eastern standings versus Western.
Hmm.
Their analytics guys in the front office, they're gonna have their trained killers for those to get that data and
Right.
statistics of the players they have because every year it's not too far off, right? Like
Hmm.
it's nothing like this.
Yeah.
And plus you have to remember it's only, it's less teams you have to, you know, accumulate for.
Right.
With this, you have 100 players, so it's like, it's not going to be so accurate.
Yeah. Tyrese Halliburton at 73. I think he should be higher. And that might just be me being biased, and I'm not going to hide the fact that I really think that he is a really
I mean,
good.
I'm not gonna lie. I haven't really seen Tyrese Halliburton like that, but I know he is a pretty good role stretch guy who can, hit some jumpers and. But I haven't really watched too much on Tyrese Halliburton.
I mean,
But
I think he's higher. I mean, you got like Jaren Jackson at 71, Kemba at 70, then you got Aaron Gordon at 69, Dinwiddie at 68. Bogdanovich,
can
Mikal.
he shoot? Can Tyrese Halliburton shoot,
Tyrese
or is he
Halliburton can
just
shoot. He's a shooter.
okay? Then yeah, I mean, if that's the case, they might as well just make Tyrese Halliburton the focal point of Sacramento Kings because Darian Fox, it's like I feel like he just needs a new destination, man. Like, not trying to get off topic, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like last year, the kid shot 40%, took about 5.1 threes a game. Like, but to me, it's like
Yep.
this guy should be ranked way higher than 73. Again, I really like him, and I think that he could potentially be like a really good, I think contributor to the Sacramento Kings. Whatever direction they go in. But the problem with the Sacramento Kings is that you have no idea what direction they're going in. They
No
kind of
direction. Their
turn.
team, their whole organization infrastructure is just a train wreck. From the owner to the front office, it's kind of like seems like it's ran like a college franchise in a way, like a college team.
Like
From the
4 years and they're done.
yeah, 4 years and they're done. Like they have lotteries coming in every year, and it's like they don't make any splashes. Like when they had what's his face, it wasn't Jaleel Okafor, it was DeMarcus Cousins. They could have got some value for him, right? But
Yeah.
they waited until he was in his like what 25,
Yeah.
26. Like
Yeah.
then you start breaking down, and yeah, the Kings, I just don't know.
Yeah. And then Sean, you said if we're putting rookies in here, you can't tell me you wouldn't take Mobley and Suggs over some of the guys in the top 100. It's not database if there are rookies, it's hype based. And that might be true, Sean. There might be some hype and some kind of what do you call it, like
Well, yeah, but if you say it's hype based, you're going off of still an estimate of what they'll do off of data, right? Because you're not just going to say Cade Cunningham at 70 something, 73, and it's hype based. Like, you're going to still have to have a understanding of, okay, he's going to average this. He's the main focal point. You're still going to have to use analytics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you have to use analytics and some sort of like measurement as to like why these players should be ranked in the way that they are. But
Yeah,
I agree with you, Sean, about like Mobley and Suggs. Like as much as I'm not like a huge Mobley guy, if we're really going like rookie hype and all that stuff, he really should be on this list. I think Suggs should be on this list. You read Justin, you said Embiid and Halliburton would be fun to watch. Should a Kings Sixers Ben Simmons trade happen? Yeah. I mean, I don't think the Sacramento Kings would do it because I think Ben Simmons has clearly stated that he just wants to play for a winning California team. And last time I checked, the Kings are not that. And they're going to have to kind of live with that reality of that they're not in that position at all. And I don't think they will be with Luke Walton as their coach. He's kind of proven time and time again that he is not really. He's not a head coach material. He's a assistant coach. Can kind of do little things here and there to kind of help a team win, but not as a head coach.
Yeah, and he's kind of like, his dad he played in the league, right? So he kind of has that background. Everybody knows his dad. Everybody knows him from coaching the Lakers. He's one of the youngest coaches in the league. Mm-hmm. Every NBA player knows him. So it's kind of like the Kings are just trying to like have an identity. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the Oakland Raiders, like with John Gruden. They just have to have a face.
The Raiders.
So, yeah. Like, they might not have the players, but they need somebody to, be the face of the franchise because they don't have anyone.
Right. Let's see here. We got Bogdanovich at 64. Ingles at 62. Jared Allen.
Bogdanovich at 64.
Lonzo Ball at 57. I think this should be Lonzo's breakout year. I think to the chagrin of me, kind of wanting him on the Celtics. But I do think that, I think Lonzo Ball is in for a big season. So I'm curious to know, like, with Lonzo Ball at 57, he's increased his 3-point percentage. He's becoming a much better player, more confident. You're seeing like a better player. Could we see Lonzo potentially at some point, maybe getting into the top like 45, top 30? You think that's
Oh yeah,
possible?
easily. Come on, the guy grew back his hair like how he did when he first got what's it called? When he first got to LA. Like
Hmm.
he's golfing now in Chicago. Like he wasn't golfing in New Orleans. Like he wanted to
Yeah.
get the hell out of New Orleans. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he bumps. He goes to 45 or even top 30.
Yeah, so we'll see about Lonzo Ball again. I am really hoping for the best for him. I think he's going to be a really good player, in terms of like being a key piece to some franchise, whether that's with the Bulls this kind of upcoming year or if it's going to be with another team. Sorry to burst your bubble, Justin, on that one. Um, Again, you got Clint Capella at 55, John Collins at 54. Definitely kind of went up from 84 to 54. You can see how, I feel like there wasn't a lot of suitors for John Collins in the free agency market, but I think that he does a really good job of fitting in with the culture and really like the team around the Hawks. Like I felt like there was only
Yeah.
maybe one team that he could go to, and that was the San Antonio Spurs, but
Yep.
I'm glad that John Collins got this contract situated because I really do think that this roster right now is in prime position to actually win a championship.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because I mean, they're still gonna have to need a couple more veterans. I feel like they're just a little bit too young, but being battle tested and having experience in deep playoff run like they previously did, that could leave a bad taste in their mouth. And who knows, they might surprise everybody and come out the number one seed in the East.
Yeah.
Yeah, they the Hawks. I think that was a great thing for John Collins of staying because anywhere else, like you said, I just couldn't see him.
Yeah, I mean, like if he was to go anywhere else, like if he went to the Spurs, I just think that there would be a very huge decline in like even his
Oh yeah,
production because of the way that him and Trae Young played together. And then you're gonna have to play in a different position of like, let's say he does go to the Spurs, like you have Dejounte Murray, but he's not really a passer like Trae Young is. Like Trae Young can make these insane passes to players, whether it's a lob or whether it's kind of that from basically driving in and making that kind of long pass to the corner or even the 45 to get guys like John Collins the ball. And I think the thing with me is that John Collins, top 50, top 60 player. I think that's probably fair and accurate to say with him because I really do expect this team should at least be a top 3, top 4 seed. They
oh
have
yeah,
they have
easily.
the pieces, they have the shooters. Now, if DeAndre Hunter, we'll see what happens with him. Hopefully, he stays healthy, and we can see this guy like really do something for the squad because I really think that they were missing him last season, in that deep playoff run. Obviously, when Trae Young got hurt, that made a huge impact on kind of the situation for that team. But I do think that with the pieces around the Atlanta Hawks, I think that they can make a deep run. And again, this probably won't be the first time I'll speak on the Hawks as we go talk about Trae Young, as the title of
Okay.
this video talks about. But nevertheless, John Collins at 54, kind of where I see it at. What about let's go to number 52, Anthony Edwards. The one big question that this article talks about is can he become an all-star in his second year? It's no secret that Edwards is already one of the most dynamic scorers, so expect several 40-point games during his sophomore campaign, highlighted by powerful drives to the rim and deep step-back threes. What could catapult Edwards into all-star territory is able to turn the Minnesota into a winner with a full season alongside Cat and D'Lo. To do that, Edwards will have to buy in at the defensive end. The Wolves finished 28th last season. Tyrese, I want to get your perspective from it. Do you think that Anthony Edwards can carry this franchise to a winning record or at least, be competitive in the West?
It depends what kind of competitive you're talking about because if you're talking about top five, then it's like what are we talking about here?
I mean, what about the last spot? Let's say even the playing game. We'll even give him that because that's still technically playoffs, even though I don't
I
really
mean,
think it is.
if Cat gets aggressive, man, and D'Angelo can be himself. I don't know if that sounds right, but Yeah, they could potentially get to a ninth seed and get into a playoff, but it would be very difficult just because they don't have a winning culture.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a winning culture in your organization, it's like you're not going to go anywhere. Because right, it starts with the locker room, it starts with the
Mm-hmm.
mindset, it starts with the front office, it starts with everything. It starts with the whole team infrastructure. I just don't think they have that grit, and I wouldn't pick them over the Grizzlies at a ninth spot. So
Yeah. Do
but
you?
they could potentially make more noise. Maybe they might start up to a fast start, maybe like 11-4. But then again, I think they'll just slump.
I mean, what about Anthony Edwards himself? Do you think that he is close
Well,
to, if
Anthony,
not a top 50 player?
top 50. I have to see more on him just because. I mean, he did have a good year. He had a great year last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had that 40-point game that helped his average.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he had
But
it. He had some people were saying he should have been rookie of the year. That's what that's what a lot of people were
but
saying.
I wouldn't have picked him over LaMelo Ball. Like LaMelo Ball,
Mm-hmm.
like he just has way more upside. I mean, the Hornets. I mean, they're not no better. I mean,
Right.
so. But as far as Anthony Edwards, can he take them to the top or make them competitive? Possibly. I mean, anything could happen, but a lot of things would have to go right.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely true. I think for me with Anthony Edwards, I do see the potential in him to be a star player. Last year I was kind of like, well, let me see this. I was kind of like a little bit worried in some sense. I know in my mock draft I was kind of like, I think this guy could be, potentially like a Dwayne Wade type of S player. But I think he's shown that he can hit the three ball. I kind of want to see like whether or not he does have a sophomore slump. Some
Mm-hmm.
some people in their sophomore years they get that sophomore slump and then they don't play very well. And so I'm curious to see how he does in his sophomore year as he kind of continues to move on to the next, to kind of
I
like his
think
future career.
I think he's gonna be good, man. I think he loves the media attention. So if he's not performing, he's not going to the press.
Hmm.
So I add that together, and I think he's gonna do well. I think he'll average 15 to 16 a game. They're
Yeah.
probably gonna give him more involved since it is his third year now, or is it? Yeah, it's his third year, right?
Yeah. For Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, because he got drafted in 2019.
No, that last year was his rookie year. So he's
Oh
the
wow,
second
yeah.
he's a second year player.
Oh yeah, then yeah. Oh yeah. They're gonna try to get him more involved, but again, I don't think he's gonna make them like some type of team to look out for
Hmm.
unless they acquire somebody and they unload D'Angelo
Right.
of like a Kyrie Irving or somebody. But yeah, they're
Do you think that Donovan Mitchell is a good comp for Edwards?
comparison.
Yeah.
That's fair to say. Yeah, I could see that. I can see that. Um, yeah, that's a very good comparison. But mind you, I have to see more on Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
I mean, Donovan Mitchell stood out, but you have to remember there was nobody on the Jazz who was taking the shots.
Yep.
So imagine he could be better than Donovan Mitchell. Just imagine if Carl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell weren't there. He would probably average 23 his first year,
Yeah. I mean that.
24, 25.
Yeah. I mean at this point, you had Rudy Gobert. You kind of had a young squad to some extent. And then Donovan Mitchell kind of comes in and kind of changes the scenery for Utah. Again, we'll see what happens with Anthony Edwards. To call him Donovan Mitchell, I'm not so sure yet. But I
Yeah.
will say is that he is very well on his way to
He's
getting
on the right track to
on
be
the right
there.
track. Sean, you're saying Anthony Edwards over LaMelo. Sean, what do you like about Anthony Edwards? What stands out to you for him? Like since you're saying that he's above LaMelo Ball, or you think that he's better than LaMelo Ball, what makes you think that he is better than LaMelo Ball? Like what besides the scoring and well, I guess the scoring might be part of it, but like what do you think of a guy like Anthony Edwards and why he's better? Like I'll give you a second to respond. But as we kind of wait for his response on that, again, Anthony Edwards, we'll see what happens with him. I do like his ability. I think he's a great player. very friendly with the media. Is kind of like a refreshing player to the media, in terms of like
Yeah.
he's very happy-go-lucky, great attitude, and that's something that's all you can ask for. When you're especially a crappy team like Minnesota, who has to deal with kind of being mediocre each and every year. It's awesome to see that there was a player like Anthony Edwards to kind of take the ease or take the stress off of trying to compete for that championship or even just trying to compete to get into the playoffs. And that's kind of where the Wolves are at right now. And again, we'll wait for Sean's response a little bit later. But
Yeah.
you know,
Doesn't get 32-year-olds pregnant.
hey
Oh
man,
wow.
there needs to be some refresher course, man. You can't be losing your money like that. So hopefully, everybody in the chat, be smart. Wrap up. Um,
Yes, sir.